on the iCloud. Here we go. Now we'll play it. Okay. So there's a lot of components to the Design Fundamentals book that you guys put together in GDT 10. Mm-hmm. And the one that I want to talk about today is balance. So we will go ahead and I basically found some definitions. What is balance? So it can be even distribution of weight. It can be different elements that are equal. There's offset or comparisons in value, or it makes things steady, right? This is balance. But I want you to think about, is this balance or imbalance? So there's different things that balance can be. We can have formal and informal. And there's a few slides I'm going to go through with you, and I might ask whether or not you think. Do you think this is formal or informal balance?
Anyone? Formal. Formal balance.
Yeah, so formal balance, exactly. They have equal, it's very equally balanced, right? So you have equal weights visually on the page. The next one here. Is it formal or informal balance?
It should be informal balance.
Yes, exactly. So even though it feels balanced, right? You can have the colors, a lot of different things happening, but there's a bit of a movement through it. So if you think about it like that, where you're looking from one area to another and it's not just a static or a standstill. And then there's this. Is this formal or informal? I can't see your name, so I can't. Edwin, can you ask one of them? Because you can see everybody, and I can't see anything except for this screen.
What did you want me to ask?
Ask somebody to answer if it's a formal or informal balance.
I have to unmute people, or people have to unmute.
Oh, well, that would help, yes. Because I can't see my Zoom screen when I'm in the presentation.
Oh, I see. So if I unmute, oh, I can't unmute.
Oh, you can't. Oh, shoot. Oh, I'm a co-host, though. That's weird. So anyways, this is informal balance. So if you're just looking at the black and white and the glasses weren't there, that would be formal balance. But because the glasses are not evenly distributed, but the colors are, so it's like an asymmetrical balance or an informal balance. Again, this is pretty obvious. This one's a symmetrical balance. Or formal. Formal balance again. Basically, so if you were to take a painting, you folded your paper in half. Like you put a
you put like
drop
paint in
of
the
paint,
middle,
right? And then you
in the
squish
middle
it,
of the page, yeah.
Yes. So that's like formal balance. This is pretty obvious. This one's like informal balance. As well as this one. We also talk about balance as static or dynamic. So you'll hear those interrelate. I wanted to show you this quickly. There's symmetrical and asymmetrical, formal, informal. Those two relate. And then we also have radial balance. So radial balance in nature would be like flowers. Lots of times it can be like a pattern, right? Like at the bottom there. On the left is an example of a static balance. And on the right, we have here a dynamic balance. So you can see like as a whole, the shapes are equal, but the color makes it more dynamic because one is gray and one is black. And obviously your eye is drawn to the darker shape. And in here, I also have different, except for I have two pictures in one, balance and imbalance. So those are just different ways of having a layout that's balanced. And we can also talk about it as symmetrical or asymmetrical balance. So obviously, anyone?
Symmetrical.
Yeah. And this one?
Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical, yes. So then what about this one?
Looks like asymmetrical.
That's correct. I have to take this call, but I will call her back.
Put your phone on mute.
Out my kids. So anyways, this one's like a bit of a tricky one. This can be symmetrical or asymmetrical, but can anyone tell me why?
Is it because of the border, or does it
So,
have to?
It's aligned in center of the box.
right, so if you took out those two dots, the two dots inside of the control, it's supposed to look like they're controllers.
Mhm.
If you took that out, then it would be symmetrical, correct? Right? Because like everything's in alignment, it's a mirror image of each other. So those two dots, just by adding those two dots, they took something that was a symmetrical logo and made it asymmetrical, right? So you could argue that the type and the image are symmetrical, but within those two, there's asymmetrical balance. Does that make sense? So like Nintendo is small, the Switch is big. Where Nintendo and right, so those are asymmetrical balance, but together,
They even out.
yes. So that one is a bit tricky. So I did want to share that one. So we're calling static and formal symmetrical. This is an example of a poster design that is symmetrical, right? So the symmetrical in colors, like, so they have balance between each one, a negative and positive. They're using negative and positive space as their balance. This one, a logo, right? A very symmetrical logo. Then we have dynamic, informal, and asymmetrical balance. So you can use asymmetry in your compositions by arrangement, like, so you can arrange the color, right? So if you have like a bright green over on the right side and it's on a black background, your eye will naturally be drawn to the brighter colors.
Yeah.
Then if you have shapes and value and or texture, and then that whole eye direction. So the one that I showed you was like, it looked like the Paris, I don't know what it was, like a tower with the moon, for example.
The
right?
Eiffel
So
Tower.
creating direction from the top, like out the page, that's creating, that will help. So this is another poster I found. So this one's more asymmetrical. But as you can see, there's like a direction. So it brings your eye from top to bottom, left to right, which is how we read. And then I found this logo. So this would be an example of an asymmetrical logo using color and not just balance, but they're also using contrast, right? So contrast in the size of the type, the weight, and things like that. And then the graphic on the left. And then I wanted to just give you a few examples of radial balance. So radial balance is pretty easily understood. This was an interesting poster because this is an example of radial balance. But it also has balance in the poster because the man is, well, I don't know if I cropped that properly, but the man is in the center of the whole entire composition. And the radial balance, so where the radial balance is, it's kind of like an asymmetrical radial balance, right? So just by cropping an image, I wanted to show you, like, just by cropping the image,
Oh,
you can, right? So now the man is asymmetrical, but the radial balance is, so you can have all three. They can all really interrelate, but this is how you're going to understand it a bit. And then this is another example. So this is when I was talking about radial patterns, radial balance. So there's lots of different ways to create this, but this is an asymmetrical radial balance, and this is an asymmetrical radial balance. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, that's it.
hey.
That's all. It was short,
Nice.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.